Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. Well, for those of you who follow the show, you know we made a trip to DC earlier in the year. We did a second one and did some different experiences that we're excited to share about, and hopefully you find it interesting as well. But before we unveil all the different things we did on Washington, D.C. we want to make sure that you subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. We're on all of them, including YouTube, if you want to see visuals of things we'll be talking about today. But also want to give a shout out to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you, Nick Menard.
You're very welcome. Hello, winners. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. So we went a little wanderlusting. We didn't really have, we have, for the place that we work, we have an office in the Arlington, Virginia area, which is just over the river in DC. But this was just a leisure trip, kind of like an extended weekend. And I know you wanted to see DC when it was good weather, and we got blessed with great weather. It was beautiful the entire time we were there. High 70s, low 80s, just gorgeous. But there was a particular thing that we wanted to do this trip that we didn't do before. Neither of us had actually done before. Maybe you want to tell the winners a little bit about what the special occasion was for this trip.
Yeah, the Brazilian steakhouse. No,
yeah, we did that twice.
No, the main reason I'm a new citizen for the last 4 years. It's already 4 years. Time flies. But I never been to the White House.
Inside.
And inside the White House, yeah. So I wanted to experience this, and I heard that my co-host, the best friend, never been there neither inside. So we decided to do that with the help of a good friend of us who was able to actually, accelerate the things to be able to be on the list and et cetera. And she gave a lot of different, idea about where to go for the second time. And that's why we decided to do this episode, because we want to make sure that when someone asks us about DC, we have no 2 episodes to share with like all the things to do. So we thought it was a good idea to do that. And since we are traveling a lot and more to come, we want to make sure that when we do a travel, we have an episode about that, so we can help people who may be thinking about different places. But White House was the number one reason why we wanted to go back to DC this summer.
Yeah, so shout out to Lauren for helping us make that happen. And if you heard our DC episode last time, you're probably like, oh, it's going to be the same. No, this was an entirely different trip beyond just seeing and doing the White House tour inside, but just phenomenal. So for those listeners who haven't been to DC, and you mentioned this, and we mentioned this when we were at the Cigar bar again, we got caught up in a conversation. We'll have to talk about that in a little bit, but you were like, oh, I never really thought about visiting DC because it's got preconceived notion, and it seems like it's just one of those places that didn't necessarily resonate with you, but when you experienced it the first time, you really enjoyed it. And then so much so we wanted to go back a second time. And I think for people, so I'm going to preach just for a second.
Go ahead.
As a U.S. citizen, I almost think it's a civic duty to visit the Capitol at least once. I've been fortunate. I've been to D.C. multiple times, but it's like almost like one of those things, right? It's like it's the capital of the greatest country in the world.
Amen.
Why not see it? So, but I know it made a powerful impact on you when it went. It certainly does on me every time. But there's so much to do in DC, and if you're a foodie, I mean, outside of Vegas and New York, like DC 100%. Rivals all those. And the nice thing is, certainly there's some places that are harder to get into than others, but it's not the same as like Vegas. Sometimes it can get really tough to get in some of those higher end restaurants. DC, it seems a little bit easier for most.
And it's easy we even discussed that last time we were at the hotel, close to the company offices. Which is just in Arlington, across the street from DC. And this time we decided to stay in Georgetown area. And funny enough, Uber, it's literally I mean, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you can go to any kind of museum, any kind of a restaurant, establishment that you want to go, sorry. Like cigar bar. I mean, every place we went to, it was like 15 minutes, maybe MGM, it was 20 minutes, but it's everything is close by. So it's very easy to navigate around. So, I mean, very easy to do a long weekend trip and be able to do everything in maybe not walking distance. I mean, maybe, but not for me because I cannot walk more than a mile without being like in pain. But it's literally very easy to navigate. But let's talk about the White House to start. Like, you can go ahead and start by explaining a little bit how it went.
Yeah, so for those of you who have never gone and done the White House tour, you do have to book it well in advance. It's not something you can just kind of show up the day of or the day before and get it to work out. So thanks to Lauren, we had this form to fill out, and you put in the request, and then they do a background check, and then you get vetted. Even once you get approved and vetted for the date that you'd like to do the visit, it's not guaranteed, right? Because things happen and sometimes they can cancel them. But we put in the request. I put it in my name, but it said it was a group. And so there was some confusion on our end because I wasn't sure if you were going to be approved to go in, but it was fine. So if you're going to do multiple people, typically it'll just come to the one main person who initiated the request, and you can have a number of people in the group. You got to have a real ID. So for those of you out there who still haven't updated your driver's license, you need to have the real ID or your passport to be able to get in. And it was recommended that we show up to the White House Visitor Center. So we did that. It was basically just a quick check-in, and they directed us to stand in line and wait outside about a block away from the White House for our time to start. And then once you get in, you get vetted. What was interesting, how many checkpoints did we have to go through?
4, I think. 4 checkpoints.
4 checkpoints. So they checked us in the line and made sure that we had the approved authorization to do the tour. Then they check us when you first walk into the gated area that leads to the White House.
Secret Service.
Yeah. And then you have 2 additional checkpoints where they're scanning you for, like you would at an airport if you have anything
metal
in your pockets and all that stuff. So it is a thorough vetting on that one. And you have to show your ID the entire time, each checkpoint you go through.
Yep. No. Fantastic. I loved it because it's normal to be precautious, definitely in those times. So I really had no problem with that whatsoever. And it was smooth, because it was kind of a long line. So I was like, oh my God, but it went very, very fast once you start the process of walking from one checkpoint to the other. Very, very easy. Then you get into one of the aisle of the White House, and then they explain for each room what each room means. But you can go more in detail about that, maybe.
Sure. I think one of the things that surprised me a little bit was the tour is self-guided. So you have about 45 minutes or so where you can kind of do what you want, wander around, stay as long as certain rooms as you want, move to other rooms. So it is self-guided, which was, I thought there was going to be somebody explaining a lot of different things, but to your point, they have people in each of those rooms where you can ask questions and stuff. So I actually like that because it gave you could go at your own pace and check out different things at your own pace. I think some of the things that surprised me that I just wasn't aware is when you first walk into the White House and you go down this corridor, one of the first things you see at the end of the corridor is a window that leads out to this massive garden that Jackie Kennedy created in the early 60s. And I didn't realize that it had this kind of garden, how plush it was. Like it was really, it almost looked like it was not real. Like everything was perfect.
Oh yeah, no.
On that one.
It's super well maintained. You're right. And yeah, the different, we saw the library, and then they explain what happened in those library, like very big moment that happened. We know, of course, all the president, but also what kind of guests came for what kind of reception. And what's interesting is that they still use those rooms to this day. So you see when you walk, you can see that the carpet has been rolled in, sorry, so people can walk. And then after 5 p.m. or whatever they finish the tours, they just put the carpet back what it is, because 5 out of 7 days of the week, those rooms still have events on. So that's pretty interesting to say that they still have like things happening in those, the place that we visited. So that's pretty cool. Then of course you have different room. You have the green room, you have the red room. I know you like the green room or the blue room the most, but every room means something different, and they have different meaning and things like that, which is pretty cool. And of course everything is gorgeous. My favorite room was the one, the dining room, where you had like a three, like the table was there, and then you have like three different seats on a stand, let's say, where the president sit and gives like a speech or something like that. But it's kind of big and it's very high ceiling, which I always like. Being super tall, that's something that I always see when there's a high ceiling. So, but you have literally a lot of different area. What I want to share is one of the guide person, was there.
I know where you're
and
going.
Then a guy in front of me is asking, okay, what kind of crazy question you got in those tour? And he laughed and he said, well, I have a fantastic one that actually happened a few weeks ago. A guest, an American citizen, so not, because you have like people from different countries who you can go online 4 or 5 months in advance to schedule it. But it was an U.S. citizen, and he asked the guide person, "Is this really the White House, or is just a place that is? But the president is never here. It's like a totally different place, but they call it White House here, but it's nothing." He said, "Are you serious? This is literally the White House when you have everything happening." And then the same person asked, are those painting on the walls famous people? Which is only all the presidents are on.
First ladies.
Yeah, first ladies and president are on those walls. But of course, some paintings are older, from the 1770s and the 800s. And so literally a question was asked, is those people famous?
Yeah.
Which was an adult US citizen. And that's all to say, coming from Europe, I know how history is important, because, of course, Europe has a crazy history. In US, the history is so young, and still people don't know the history of the country they're born at. I think that's insane. I'm not saying it's the majority, but I do think that a lot of people don't realize that they need to learn something just for you. It's your country. You should want to know certain things. So it was pretty eye-opening, and it was funny at the time, but also thinking, wow.
Yeah.
So
it reminded me, Jay Leno, when he hosted the Tonight Show, used to do these, like they'd be on the streets and they'd interview and ask people questions, like basic questions, and some of the answers they would get. And that's what that reminded me of. But the White House, it's amazing. So Nick alluded to it earlier. So much history. So we're walking through rooms, and each room has a theme of what it's meant to do. But to think about actual events occurring and the people who have been in those rooms, it's really humbling and kind of awe-inspiring in a way. And obviously, the first family has liberties on certain decorations, and so President Trump is a big fan of gold. And so there's a lot of gold sprinkled throughout, like with the curtains and some of the other furnishings, but very opulent. You alluded to it. There's some rooms that they'll let you look into, but they're roped off. And then when the tours are done, they take down the ropes because they actually use those rooms, which is really amazing. But I think some of the things that struck me that I didn't think about, obviously there's a famous painting of George Washington where he's kind of pointing. I didn't realize that was in the White House. I thought that was going to be in the museum. There's also another famous painting of President Kennedy where he's looking down. And I didn't realize that was in the White House either. Again, I thought it was in a museum. The other thing that struck me and really caught me by surprise was towards the end of the tour. Yeah, the picture, they have a painting of Trump, President Trump, after he got shot on the campaign trail with his fist raised. And it's kind of almost like a Andy Warhol style painting, but I didn't expect that to be in there. But that was cool. And just before you go to that, they have the presidential seal, and then the flag of the United States, and then you can stand in front to get your picture taken. So it was a great way to kind of wrap up the tour. But anything else from the White House tour? I know we spent a lot of time on it, but it was so powerful, and it was the primary reason we wanted to go.
So again, it's a little piece of the White House. They don't, let you walk everywhere.
Yeah, couldn't go in the Oval Office.
No. It's a small piece, but it's still very impactful, knowing that all the history of the United States was here at some point, like literally. That's insane. And then you also have access to that room. It's the biggest room we saw, where they have the reception with the family and the closest friends after presidents take a seat at the Oval Office. So you saw picture of all the different presidents with their, the first lady, and also like the closest people there who walk around. So you have all those pictures from the different presidents. So it's pretty cool that you are in the room that actually they go after they announce the presidency, and then they go for a cocktail. And then you have, like I said, a picture from the 17th to now with all the different presidents, and you can learn about all of them and the specialties. So I personally loved it, but I would highly recommend anybody to go. And again, one of the amazing thing about DC, they have 1 million museum. Everything is free. So you don't pay a dime for, and we did tons of museum last time, and this time we did a couple. We're going to talk about other ones that we did. It's all free. So it's why don't take advantage of that and learn about the history of your country and all the different kind of a fantastic museum like the Smithsonian, for example. But we're going to talk about that in the People's House and all that.
Yeah. If you're traveling on a budget, not many better places to go to if you want to see a lot without having, it's donation only. So after the White House, thanks to Lauren, we went to a place called the People's House, which is literally 1 block down from the White House. And what the People's House is, again, donation only. So it's free unless you wish to donate. And it's basically the entire White House in miniature. And so we skipped some of the stuff because we had just seen the live version. Like we skipped the blue room and the yellow room and the red room. But they did have a miniature of the Oval Office, and that was great because you don't get to see that on the White House tour, obviously. But what were your thoughts when you saw the Oval Office? And
that's fantastic. So you see the office that you see on TV, with the flag in the back, and then the sofa where people are actually, the deals are being made pretty much, so you see how the Oval Office looks like, and then you can take picture and again, we talked about the painting of President Trump and others. We're gonna put the picture on the YouTube channel, so please go watch the episode on YouTube, and you have those pictures there if you want to have a look and feel about what it is. We're gonna post some there as well. But yeah, my feeling was like it's very smart to, since they know that we cannot experience that in the White House, that they actually do something in the People's House. I thought it was very smart. And then you go and you can actually experience that. In the People's House, you have also like things like learning about the pets, the president's pets, for example. And then you have anecdotes about what kind of pets it is. And you learn that they're like possum, who was like literally a pet there at some point, and different animals. And learn about the cars that president were driving, and I mean tons of different anecdotes about the instrument that the president were playing. So you had a piano played by X, and then a flute played by Y, and so that's really good to be able to. That's the kind of Trivial Pursuit, like kind of Q&A. But yeah, you can have all of that answered on the People's House, and I really thought it was great to see.
Yeah, I agree. Now that one, you do need to make a reservation, but we made it the same day because it kind of guesstimated what time we would be there from that. So that's really easy to do online. So if you go to Washington, D.C. and you weren't able to get vetted to do the White House in advance, definitely check out the People's House. While a lot of things were in miniature, the Oval Office was an exact replica. And one of the things that surprised me was the Oval Office isn't that big.
No, that's true.
But you get to sit in the desk and flag by the picture. So you probably see that on the YouTube channel. But we took our pictures there. So very statement-like, if I do say so myself, in our T-shirts. But anyway, but very cool. And what Nick is talking about, like all these little educational videos they share, there's actually like uh, uh, an item, and you touch the item, and it lights up the screen, and then tells you the story about that item. And there had to be about 25 different things, like anything from music to pets, like Nick was saying, to speeches, to they even had, which I thought was really a class act, they even had all the White House staff members, who, like the chef who's been there since I think it was '99 or whatever, the groundskeeper, and they have a short video you hear from them, and you think about all the people that help make the daily running of the White House happen. I thought that was a nice touch. That they
Yeah,
did for those people.
and you realize that all those head of the maintenance, the janitor, and everything, that they really have like a virtual video of the person actually talking and explaining, their literally since when they're there and stuff like that. They all there forever. Like
Mhm.
it's like 20, 25, 30 years. Like the chef in the White House, that lady, I forgot her name, apologize, but she was there from the 80s, like 89 or 91 or something.
Yeah,
So
a long time.
it's crazy that
Yeah.
is the same chef during the different presidencies.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, that's one of those jobs. Like, you get it. Why would you ever give it up? You know
I'm
what I
sure
mean?
I'm sure that the advantage, the how do you say that, the packages or the benefits
Yeah,
are
oh,
really good.
yeah, for sure. So that was super cool. So definitely check out the People's House. That's donation only. Thanks to Lauren again for the recommendation. Then went to a place called Proper 21, which was a sports bar that was recommended to us by Eris. So thanks, Eris, for your recommendation. But right down, literally a few doors over, was one of our favorite spots we talked about last time, Shelly's Back Room Cigar Bar. And again, just like last time, we met a retired general, and this time we met the assistant to the Attorney General of the United States, and just struck up and had like a 2-hour conversation with the gentleman.
I know, it was so amazing. I mean, that's the kind of thing you only have at DC. Like literally, we sat down and the person was in front of us, like with someone in the beginning
Originally,
for
yeah.
10, 15 minutes. Then the person left, but he stayed. And then he even engaged in the conversation. He saw that I was a Texas Longhorns fan, so he started asking about it, and then we started have a conversation. And then like after 15 minutes or so, like, how are you doing for a living? I remember saying like, are you here on vacation? Or he said, well, actually, I'm from California, but I'm here since February on a. I took over the district attorney position for human right, I think it was, or
The voting. He's doing
yeah.
the vetting on the voting.
So it's pretty. But when you see his title online, it's actually like, I think it's that. But anyway, so it's very so. And then we started the conversation, and then he explained what he was doing. He did something huge a few weeks ago in Texas. The Texas,
with the redistricting.
the redistrict. He's actually the one who sent that letter, which is huge. And the place that he was working and stuff. So he was explaining all of that because we asked him a lot of questions, also about President Trump, and very interesting things that came up. And I'm already very, very happy and positive about what's happening, the direction the country is going. But he reinforced even more like the why certain things happen. And I love to be able to talk to someone who actually know what he's talking about. It's not the media, it's not a friend, it's not a neighbor or a coworker. It's actually someone who is between the walls with the president and talking about stuff. So only in DC, like super approachable, super nice person. Like I looked him up on LinkedIn, and he has a resume like longer than than most, and it's pretty awesome to be able to have those kind of stuff. So it was a great evening, cigar, and a great conversation.
Yeah, and fun fact about him. So he's obviously in the Department of Justice, and he's in that building. His office, but now this is going down history lane. Not everyone may remember this, but he's in the exact same office that Deep Throat once occupied. And Deep Throat was the one who was the informant around Watergate. So just DC dripping with history. You never know who you're going to run into. And Shelly's always a great time. We went twice. Just really enjoy it. Great atmosphere. They have food. We haven't had their food yet, but in terms of the drinks and cigars, top notch. So check out Shelly's if you have a chance, if that's of interest to you. Then again, thanks to Lauren. I mean, she's just amazing with the recommendations. we went to the old post office tower, which sounds maybe meh. Well, let me tell you something. The place that took over the old post office tower is a Waldorf Astoria. And the day we were there, we walk up, there's all these black limos, black glass. You see flags of the different countries. And we didn't know it at the time, but Nick found out online afterwards. Armenia and Azerbaijan, who have been fighting forever, had just come together and signed a peace accord with President Trump at the Waldorf Astoria. Well, you have a couple of doors that lead to the Waldorf Astoria. Of course, they had security there, and we're like, uh-oh, maybe we can't get in. Well, actually, if you walk along the side of the building, there's a dedicated entrance to the old post office tower. And you may be asking yourself, well, why? What's the big deal about the old post office tower? Well, it is one of the higher points in DC, and you have a great panoramic view of the city. Maybe you want to chat a little bit. I know you also love looking out the elevator and seeing the atrium to the Waldorf, but maybe share a little bit.
Yeah,
about
so
the experience.
basically, when you get in, you have the first elevator with a glass elevator on one side. So when you go up, you see actually the main dining of the Waldorf for the guest, and then you have the bar, and it's a gorgeous, immense bar, and there's no ceiling. So basically, like the ceiling is, I don't know how many store high, because we were up, I don't know how many story, and there was still no ceiling. So the ceiling is super high, and in the view that you see, like how big this place is and how high end it is, that's pretty good. Then when you get there, you take a second lift to go on top of the post observatory or whatever it's called, and then the view is outstanding. Like you see all DC, you see the White House, you see all the different monuments, you see Bill Clinton Memorial, like I like to call it.
No, it's a Washington Memorial. It's not the Bill Clinton Memorial.
Anyway,
Capitol. You see Capitol Hill. Yeah.
And then you see the Smithsonian. You see the Capitol. You see literally everything that you need to see, and you turn around, you take pictures, and then you just go back down. But it's amazing. But the fact that we were there when you had the Armenian president and the Azerbaijan president at the same location to sign a peace
When they've been at war.
with Donald Trump when we were there, it's pretty outstanding. So yeah, that was a great experience. Again, thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, just amazing, and the views are definitely worth it. And another free thing, didn't cost you anything. Just go in there and wait your turn and go up, and off you go. So that was phenomenal. And I suppose the last thing we should probably wrap up real quick with was we went to the Air and Space Museum, one of the Smithsonian museums. Again, free to get in. You do have to reserve a ticket, but you can do it. We did it as we were walking up to the museum, where we reserved the ticket. But your thoughts on the Air and Space? I've been there before, but that was your first time.
Outstanding, huge. You come in and you have like a huge entrance with I don't know what to call it, missile.
Oh yeah, missile and the rockets.
Missile and the rockets.
Yeah.
You have all the different planes who hang in the air with the old one, the newer one. You can go inside some to see how it looked like when it started. The first actually commercial plane. You can go inside and see how it was arranged. That's pretty cool. And then you see anything about, if you're interested about Mars and like space thing, you have everything you can and more. You have an IMAX inside that you can also take tickets to go watch movies there. I mean, you have tons of different things. I mean, I'm sure we can talk for 30 minutes about the Smithsonian, but it's definitely really well, very educational. And you have 3 stories, so you can go down, up, and then the main floor is huge as well, where you can experience different things and see different things from the past, from the future, from the present. But if you like anything what to do with space and plane, you will be in paradise.
Yeah, and the really neat thing is they have obviously replicas of things. Like they had the replica of the Wright brothers airplane, the first to fly, but they have actual things like some of the Apollo rocket. They had that left over, and things that were actually used. Like you were talking about one of the first passenger jets, and it's just like a third of it that's cut off, but it's on display. And you actually walk upstairs, go into the jet, see how it was furnished and everything, and walk out and quick. So Very educational, a lot of interactive displays, different movies that you can do as well and watch. Just really fascinating. So if you have any interest whatsoever in anything involving airfare or space, highly recommend the Smithsonian. There's a lot of Smithsonians that you can choose from, but the Air and Space is one of the ones that's really fascinating. And right across the street from it is the National Gallery. So if you're somebody who's a fan of art, in particular paintings and sculptures, you can literally do the Air and Space Museum, take a 3 to 5 minute walk right across the street, go up the stairs to the National Gallery, and there you are. And then you can take a left and you can go down the National Mall and then see the Washington Monument and then
Bill
walk your way to
Clinton's memorial.
the Lincoln Memorial and a lot of things in between. But if you want to know more about that, check out our previous episode on Washington, D.C., because we talked a lot about those things. So any last thing you want to share about this latest D.C. trip with our listeners?
No, since everybody knows that we are very fond of Vegas and going to casino, just a quick word. We went to the MGM Harbor side, I think it is, the last night, and we went, and it's actually beautiful when you get in, and then the casino is very big.
Much bigger than I thought it would
Oh,
be.
yes, absolutely. So we stayed there for a couple of hours, and yeah, so you have everything you have in Vegas over there as well. You need to pay for your drinks even when you play, so it's like Florida, it's not like Vegas. But it's anything you think about, they have. So the table games, the card games, the everything in between that you find in Vegas, you will find there. So it's definitely an option for people living on the east side to go to a nice big casino, the MGM, and it's literally like 15-20 minutes from downtown DC. So it's really easy to access.
Yeah, yes, it was. And if you do want to see a movie, obviously they got plenty of movie theaters around there, but we went into Maryland, which again was like a 20-minute drive to an IMAX so that we could see Weapons in the IMAX, and that was a treat if you like that genre. It's a horror genre, but different take on it.
Totally.
And a lot of fun. So again, lots to do, and of course the food. Gosh, we could do a whole episode just about food in DC, but let's just say if you come back from DC hungry or not having an amazing experience, you went to the wrong place, because there's so many awesome places.
Yeah, wrong Washington.
Yeah, for sure. So that'll do it, winners. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed Washington, D.C. for us and Two for the Win. Please be sure to share, subscribe, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. Spread the word. And also thanks again to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. That'll do it for this Wanderlust Wednesday. We'll see you next week, winners.
Bye, winners.
Bye.